Hi everyone, my name is Nitya, and you are at my Flosstube channel, Daybreak Stitchery. This is a channel all about cross stitch and a little bit of crochet today. It's the end of March 2023, and I'm just popping on to show you what I've been working on this month. I'm on break this week, so it's been wonderful. It's been cold out, so I've just been, stitching, catching up on work, got my garden started, and it's been a really good week. So, and saw lots of people, got a lot of social time this week. So I'm just going to get right into it because I have a lot of things to show you. And you're going to be really excited about the first one. I know I am. This is a finish. Not fully finished, but a finish. So this is 2 patterns by the Workbasket. So this one here is Rabbit Roundel, and this one here is Swan Roundel. And they're on 18 count Mystic by Picture This Plus. And then this is using, they're both sulky. I use sulky. I'll show you up kind of closer. You can see it's just like the one thick strand of sulky on there. And so this one is called Poppy. I didn't write down the numbers, but if you want me to look up what colors they are, I can look them up. This one, I don't remember what it's called. But they're both in the, it's not called Color Variations, Blendables. They're both in the Blendables line of sulky, which is their variegated thread. I loved it. This was super easy to stitch on. And there are 2 more in the series. I don't have them, but and I don't think I'm going to be stitching them, but these 2 were really fun to stitch on. I set them up to be facing each other, which is how the patterns were. This one was facing this direction and the rabbit was facing that direction, so I just thought it would look cute to have them facing each other. And then they're sort of similar motifs, but kind of a little bit different enough, like these sort of oval shapes here. That kind of mimics these paisleys up here, and then the heart up here, and there's a heart down here, so similar border. So it was super cute to stitch on. And this one is so funny because when I have all the lights on right now to film, but when I have it like in my living room, it's pretty dark in my living room. I don't have a lot of natural light there, but when you look at it, it looks totally different. It looks like a different project in different light. Like this Mystic by Picture This Plus looks almost like charcoal colored, and then all of these colors turn a little bit different when you look at it in the dark. So that was good fun. And I was working on this because all of my almost all of my whips that I'm working on this year in 2023 are chosen based on projects that I want to work on in the future. So I look at the projects that are queued up. It's queued up Sal is what I'm calling it. So when I look at projects that I have queued up that I really want to work on, and I finish whips that are kind of related to that. So I had a small pattern by KristyPatterns that had a rabbit on it, Shimanchu Rabbit. So I told myself when I finished Rabbit Roundel I would work on that. And now that I've finished the whole piece, the piece that I have queued up is the Beatrix Potter Sal that Julie, Kansas City girl, is in a Colorado world is working on. So I can start this up. Although I think I'm going to put it off just a little bit longer. Isn't that pretty? I'm going to put it off a little bit longer just because I feel like I'm on a roll with finishing up whips. So I think I might just keep working on a few more whips, and maybe this summer is like a treat to finishing the school year. I'll start any of my new starts that I get to give myself permission to start after finishing my whips. So that again is by the Workbasket. Fun thing that happened this week, I went, Miriam from Marumi Crafts and we went shopping together. We drove over to LaPorte, Indiana to House of Stitches, where I had been last summer with Sarah, my stitchy friend Sarah. And these patterns I bought at House of Stitches last year. So since I finished this month, I thought, oh, let me throw it in my bag and I'll just take it over to show them. And so I got to show I think it's Sue. I didn't ask for the names of the 2 people who run the shop, and I wish I had, but I think I heard that one is named Sue. Anyway, I showed them my finish on this, so that was exciting. It was exciting to be able to show them something that I had gotten from the shop, you know? Okay, finishes. Next up for finishes, So since I finished Rabbit Roundel, I gave myself permission to work on Shimanchu Rabbit, and I finished that one. So that is here. It looks like this. So this is Shimanchu Rabbit. Oh, we got a stray DMC 221 hanging on. This is Shimanchu Rabbit by KristyPatterns. That's Laura, who goes by KristyPatterns. So I will link everybody, any designers and anybody who I mention, I'll put them in the description below. But you can find Laura's video where she talks about the cultural significance of these motifs. And this is a New Year's for Lunar New Year. She had created this pattern, so I was super excited to work on this. It's really fun, and it's a very clever pattern. It has a lot of interesting, kind of meaningful motifs, and then there's like some natural shading that goes on here that she's planned for too, so I loved all of that. In the pattern, she gives some suggested color palettes ideas because the colors are have some significance too. So I chose greens, and the greens I used were, these are the 3 greens right here. So this is DMC, they're DMC 986, 987, and 988 is what I used. And the key to this, it's charted to use 3 colors in succession in the DMC line. So I think the called for was like DMC, it was pinks, really pretty pinks, like 600, 601, 602, let's say. I didn't have all of those. I had 600, but not the others. So then I just went through my DMC box and looked for any 3 colors in succession that like I had all together, that I had enough of, where the colors looked like they were different enough. Because sometimes I feel like the color changes aren't that different, but in these 3, they're different enough where you could notice then the shading. So that's what I did, and I love it. I think it turned out really great. So you can find that pattern from Laura, and I hope Laura will keep designing because that was a really fun one to stitch on. Okay, next finish. None of these are full. I didn't fully finish anything this month, but I got some things finished. This is Song of Nowruz, and this is by Miriam, Marumi Crafts. This is on, oh, I didn't tell you what Shimanchu Rabbit was on. This is on Picture This Plus Mellow, 36 count. Did I tell you the fabric on my first one? Yeah, I did. So this is on Picture This Plus. Everything's been on Picture This Plus so far. I really like Picture This Plus fabrics. Song of Nowruz by Miriam. And the quote says, "Believe in spring, start again, bloom." And it's a quote by Rumi. And I love it. I chose this really bright, I want to say it's 1004. It's a Threadworks. It's a Threadworks color. And I have some kind of random Threadworks in my stash because for just 1 month a couple of years ago, I did the 3 Owl Threads nest egg, and I chose the 20-yard skeins from Threadworks. So I got a really beautiful bunch of 10 skeins of Threadworks, and then I stopped because I didn't want to keep accumulating threads. So I have this like kind of collection of, I think they go in order either alphabetically by name or maybe numerically by name, but they're all different shades. And so I just love using this one. I love this because it's kind of a peachy pink that I feel like is perfect for spring. And then I put it on this, let me see if I have a name of this fabric. It's Picture This, oh, here's the Threadworks right here. So this is what the floss looks like just by itself. Isn't that so nice? It's 1004 Threadworks. Oh, it's Mango Margarita is what it was called. I looked up this color. It's so pretty. It's pretty true to the color you're seeing on screen. It's very peachy, like a light peach color. And the fabric, I don't have a name on it, but I know it did have a name. I just don't have it here. But it's a Picture This Plus, and it's a fabric that was gifted to me by Alicia Resist Stitch, who sent me a bunch of her kind of larger sized Picture This Plus Ada that she wasn't stitching on anymore. So I've been, you know, using that for like gift stitching and some different things, some smalls like this one. So I used, let me think for a minute. So that, the main part is Threadworks. I don't remember. Oh, I think this is the, this dark text is in the Silks for You that I'm using on my other Marumi Crafts piece, my big, my Magical Carpet Menagerie. It's a Silks for You. It's a dark, kind of a dark teal in Silks for You. And I don't remember exactly what color that is, but what number it is. But this was really fun to stitch, and a really quick one. It just took me a couple evenings to stitch up. And you can watch Miriam's video. She describes like the significance of Nowruz as like a kind of a spring equinox festival. I think that's right. But you better to hear it from Miriam, directly from Miriam. Okay, the finishes keep coming. So I have one more. This was unexpected to finish. I haven't ironed it out, so it's rolling up. This is Tokapu by Peruvian Flair. You can find her on Etsy. This is Ana Aguayo's design brand. And it's she does a lot of patterns that are inspired by pre-Columbian cultures in Peru. She is Peruvian, and so she does a lot of research on pre-Columbian cultures, and then takes like their stitching and their weaving and turns them into patterns. So I really love this one. I think it's so cool. And it is on a mystery linen from XJU Designs. I had ordered way back when a pack of these. The colors weren't labeled on them, but they were maybe 6 or 7 different ones, all different colors, and they were all this size. It's sort of like 8.5 by 11 size. The only thing is that they were 28 count, and in the future, there's like a Tokapu 2. There's a part 2 to this, which I'm definitely going to do in these same colors, but I won't use a 28 count because if you know me and my beefs about coverage and having every stitch covered perfectly, it takes a lot of floss to cover up 2. This is stitching over 2 on a 28 count. So I made the mistake of using specialty flosses, which I absolutely love and I'll use again, but on a 28 count. So it like ate up. It ate up so much specialty floss. And I actually got, when I was shopping with Miriam this Monday, we went shopping, I had to get more to finish this up. So so what did I use? The red, isn't that so beautiful? This like variegated red. It's Ruby Slipper by the Gentle Art. This black, it has like a little bit of purple variegation in it. I think it's Black Night, but it's by Valdani for sure. This is Burlap. I love this brown. Burlap by Gentle Art. There's that Ruby Slipper again. Those two I want to use over and over again. I love their brightness. That's so pretty. And then the white is called Subtle Elegance, and that's by Valdani. So the Burlap and Ruby Slipper were by Gentle Art, and Black Night and Subtle Elegance were from Valdani. And I used 3 strands over 2. But the coverage is beautiful. It's got like this nice kind of tapestry-like feel, or like needlepoint almost. It's so thick. I love it. But next, the companion piece to this, I think I will put on like an 18 count Aida or a 36 count linen, or maybe even 40 count. I'm going to make it smaller. But I want to use the same colors. I loved all this. The Gentle Art was wonderful to stitch with. The Valdani cotton floss, I don't know. I love the colors and the variegation, but it's a bit difficult to work with. It's like very, it is soft and it's cotton, but it's sort of, it's got a rigidity to it. It's kind of, it feels harsher to pull through the fabric. It's not as smooth. It takes forever to separate the strands. It's really hard separating the strands. So it's just not the easiest to work with. And I don't know what that is. Is it maybe in like their dyeing process? The treatment of the cotton just kind of does something to it. I really don't know. That variegation is nice, isn't it? In the black and white. You can kind of see that. But anyway, this is good fun to stitch. I'm definitely going to do part 2. This was not part of Queued Up Sal, but actually what I did with this is, so last month, Nati, who's Stitchy Nati on Instagram, had for her birthday, she did a sal called Small Win Sal, where you just stitch on either like a new project that you could just finish the same day, or like finish up a whip that you're super close to finishing. Just create a small win for yourself. I really love doing that. I didn't, do I have it down here? No, I left it upstairs. I finished up an ink circles pattern that I had. And so this month I was like, oh, I wonder if I could do another small win. So I pulled this out and said, yes, this is going to be it. So I kind of love that idea, and I'm going to see if I can maybe do one each month. If I have anything, like any smaller whips like this that are close to finishing. try to finish those up. So we'll see. So thanks, Nati, for getting that going. I know like it wasn't meant to keep going, but it actually was very inspirational. So I may just keep it going. Okay, I have two crochet finished for now pieces I'm going to show you, and then I have a whole bunch of whips I've been working on this week, so I'll show those to you too, cross stitch whips. Okay, so for crochet, I've been making a lot of cowls. It's still really cold here. It's 30 degrees out right now here, and it's supposed to go up to 50 by this afternoon, so I think we're gonna maybe try to sit out for a little bit. That'd be good. Get some sunshine. So anyway, I'm still in cowl mode, and so I made this one, and it's just like a really easy crochet cowl. It's using yarn by Fiber Optic yarns. It's some kind of merino wool blend, and the colorway is called Wildflowers, and that's so pretty. It's got like, if you look closely, I don't know if my zoom will show you clearly enough, but it's even got like some dark blues, dark purples, like bits of yellow, like there's a little bit of blue right there. Bits of yellow and all different purples. It's very pretty color. And it's done really easily. Like if you crochet, or even if you don't crochet, if you teach yourself 2 basic stitches, you could do something like this. Because this is basically double crochets, and then some of them you stitch as what's called front posts. So you're stitching them like into the line below, so it creates a little bit of texture. That's all it is. Really, really easy. Shiloh at Cross Stitch MD, I noticed, started crocheting. It's super, you can find a tutorial online. I really like Shireen Crochet is really good for beginners, and then TL Yarn Crafts is really good. And there's somebody I'm forgetting. I like Claudetta Crochet. Actually, she's the one who I learned Tunisian crochet from. Claudetta Crochet on all of these are on YouTube. So you could look it up and do it. It's so easy. And then you just need one hook. You can get at the big box stores, you can get a set of like the Susan Bates hooks. I have them here. So like they look like this, and it'll come in a set of them for like maybe $5 to $10, less than that probably. And you can get like 6 of them, all different sizes, so that way no matter what size yarn you have, you'll have a hook that works. And then so easy, you can just play around with it. I've been crocheting my whole life. I learned from my mom when I was a kid, and it's just like once you get the hang, it's all like muscle memory, kind of like knitting is too. Like I'm amazed by people who can knit and like not look at their knitting while they're doing it, but that's what it is. You're just getting like the muscle movements down, and that's what crochet is too. Once you get the movements down, you could do it. So that is fun and cozy, and I can't wait to wear that. I'm calling it finished for now because I think I have more of this yarn. This used 1.5 skeins of this. It's like a sock weight yarn. It's a thinner yarn. And I thought I had more of it. And I thought I had started a traveling project one time with another ball of this. So I'm going to see if I can find that and then add to this. And if I can't find it, I'll finish it and wear it. And then I have one more crochet whip to show you. This one I was super excited about because I tried a crochet technique that I've been avoiding for years and years because I thought it was super intimidating. And then I watched, this is going to sound so silly. I was watching Graham Norton. I don't know if you know Graham Norton. He's a talk show host in the UK, and I really enjoy watching his show. He has, celebrities on, and there's really good storytelling. He gets them to tell really good really funny stories. But anyway, he had Kate Winslet on recently, and she was talking about how she taught herself, like recently, like in the past month or so, she taught herself to breathe underwater to like break a record. So she's like the current like celebrity record holder in holding her breath underwater, and she can do it for like 7 minutes or something incredible. And she had to work with like a personal trainer to do it. But anyway, she was just talking about how like, as you get older, you kind of tell yourself that certain things are cut off to you, that you don't really want to bother learning them, but actually it's like a great time for learning new things. And I found that really inspirational. So I was thinking like, okay, I spend all my time crafting, so is there something I've been avoiding? And so it's this. Are you ready for this? So this is a technique called Mosaic crochet. I suspect it's because like things get outlined. Like you can see like this yellow outline to this motif, kind of like when you do mosaics, there's like the grout outline. But it's basically like color work in crochet, and it's awesome. And I've been avoiding it for ages, and it's actually so easy to do. I couldn't believe how easy to do it was. So this tutorial for this particular pattern was on Fiber Fox Studios on YouTube. I'm gonna have to buy her like multiple actually, that's on my list of things to do today, to buy her a coffee, multiple coffees, because watching her video, it's like an hour-long video to get the whole, like this whole repeat down. It almost felt like being in a workshop with her or something, you know? So that was a very generous tutorial, and that I'll link it below. That tutorial, she explains it in a way as if she's explaining it to someone who's never crocheted before. So like even the most, like when you start each row, you have to do like the two most basic stitches are a chain stitch and a single crochet. She walks you through how to do it on every single row. So it's really a tutorial for like non-crocheters. So if you know how to crochet, it's even easier, you know. Basically, you just need someone to walk you through how to do the pattern repeats. And then once I was able to watch her doing that, it was so easy. Like, so I did this down here, and then I did the whole repeat in the middle, and then I improvised. This top part I improvised based on what I had already done below. And I had to do that because these colors come from, I have one. They come from a yarn cake. It's a Karen Cakes yarn. Karen is like a mass, you know, a big box producer of yarn, and they make their yarn into these cakes that have all these different color tones in the same cake, in the same like roll of yarn. So what I did, I'll if my editor lets me, I'll throw in a picture. I unraveled the entire cake and wound up each color separately. So I wound up all of this purple, and then I wound up all of this. I wound up all of the yellow separately. So I had like multiple little balls of yarn, but they were all coordinated because they were all put together in this cake. So I didn't choose these colors together. They were actually caked together. I just separated them out to use them. But what happens there is that you have very limited quantities of each color, right? So certain colors, like this yellow, these were the longest, so I knew I was able to do the most with that one. These like pinks, I had very little of this pink, so I said, okay, well, I'm not going to make this kind of internal motif. I can't do it all in light pink, or I can't do it all in this plum purple or this magenta because I don't have enough. So I used the lightest pink on the bottom, and then the medium pink in the middle, and then dark in this center, and then I worked it back out. So you had to, like, I thought it was great because it like encouraged some creativity, some different kinds of thinking than what I normally do with my crochet. Crochet for me is usually very mindless. Like this cowl is just so easy. You can like watch, watch TV or listen to podcasts or like do other thinking things. Because this is so mindless. You don't have to pay attention. It's like the same stitch repeated over and over again. This you have to pay attention because you have to, there's a motif to stitch. So, it used some different crafty muscles, which I'm so happy about. So I don't know what it's going to be. I did a long piece because I wanted to practice the repeat on the pattern, but it's like too short for a scarf. So I will probably, I have to finish, it's not fully finished. I haven't woven in the ends yet. All these ends, each row has an end to it. That's kind of pretty too, the fringe. Anyway, I think I'll probably make it into a cowl. Like I'll finish off the ends and then maybe like put some buttons in and make like little button loops and just leave it buttoned or something. And then this will be the front. So isn't that so exciting? This has been like the highlight of my month and maybe 2023 so far in terms of my crafting. I'm so excited. There's a really fantastic crocheter named Tinna Thorvaldur. She's an Icelandic crocheter. I'll link her stuff below. But she does like a lot of mosaic crochet, and I've just been like looking at it for years and years and thinking I'm never gonna get to do that. It's gonna be so hard, and now it's so easy. The only thing I didn't learn though, because I followed a video tutorial, the way that these mosaic crochet patterns usually work is you buy a pattern just like you do with like knitting or whatever, and then there's a chart to show you how to make the motif. And I haven't learned yet how to read a chart, so that'll be the next step. I can do it if someone's telling me like put this stitch here, do this stitch here. If someone's narrating the stitches to me, I can do it, but to actually read a color chart, I haven't learned how to do yet, so we will see about that. That was very exciting. And now I want to do more and more. Would you, for folks who come back from month to month, my stitchy friends out there, or not, for anybody who's watching, if I were to make some of these in maybe more neutral colorways, like let's say I did all the background in like a cream color and then did all of these motifs in like a clay color or navy blue or dark green, something like that, and kept it consistent all the way through. I was thinking of making them and trying to sell them as a fundraiser, because I think either in June or sometime before the end of the year for Stitch for Pride, I want to do a fundraiser for Brave Space Alliance, which is my kind of local organization that helps trans people of color in Chicago. And I did a fundraiser, a big fundraiser for them 2 years ago during Pride, and I didn't do one last year, but since I'm doing Stitch for Pride this year, I want to do more fundraising for them. And so I was thinking of like other ways besides just putting a Facebook fundraiser up. Like maybe I could do some, like sell some of my crafts and donate all the proceeds to that. So I'm thinking of doing, do you think that would be something people would buy? If I crocheted some cowls, just some little cowls. I don't know how appealing that would be, especially like if I was doing this in the summer. I don't know if I have trouble working with yarn in the summer. It's so warm. So I don't know if I can actually follow through with it. And also I don't know if shopping for a cowl over the summer would be very appealing, so maybe I'll do it in the summer. I don't know. These are all just like thoughts I'm having, but let me know what you think of that. If you saw someone selling cowls with this kind of like mosaic crochet as a fundraiser, is that something you would go for, or is it not worth the trouble? Is that not a good tactic to use? You know what I mean? Okay, those are all my finishes. Let me grab my whips and I'll be right back. Okay. So I have been working on a whole bunch of whips because I've been on break this week. So I'm just going to get right into it and show you. Okay, so I did a little tiny bit of work on Where Flowers Bloom. This is by Hands Across the Sea. And I'm not really a fan of stitching houses. And I talked more about this in my last video, so you can kind of look for my motivation there on how I changed the pattern a little bit. I did very little work on this. Here's the piece. I mean, it's on 32 count linen. Ultra Blue Violet by XJU Design, and I'm using the called for Overaswa silks, which are really bright and shiny and pretty. Once again though, on a 32 count, I'm having to use 3 strands. So I know like all of you sampler stitchers who use Overaswa or any silk, you're probably like shaking your head at me right now. I know it's eating up all my silk. Once again, I have kind of chosen, although it's a beautiful color and I love this, I've used this on other pieces too, this Ultra Blue Violet. I just, now that I know how I feel about the coverage of Overaswa, I would use a different count. But I'm getting beautiful thick coverage, and I love all the assortment of bright colors in this pattern. So the bit I worked on is just a few of the leaves and flowers in this part of the border right here. Or no, in this part of the border right here. It stitches up fast, but there are a lot of color changes in it. So I don't know if you're seeing, so for example, like these leaves are one set of colors and then the next set is in a different color. So it kind of alternates back and forth. So you're just constantly changing. I mean, you can do, the good part about that is that once you thread your needle, you can actually do like multiple sets of leaves in one go, but then you have to rethread and get the other one going. So I really love that. I want to try to get that finished soon. Maybe this can be the whip that I try to work on for next month to try to finish up, because it's really not that far. I have to do the border because I've done the vine all the way around, but I haven't done any of the flowers or leaves on that bottom part. See, it'll look more, this top is done. So all those green leaves, oh, I have some leaves missing here even. all these green leaves I have to finish out. It'll look basically like that. This part right here is finished in the border. And then I have some of these central motifs I have to finish up too. Like this basket up here still has work. That basket still has work to be done to finish the hearts out. There's still actually a little bit I need to do on this one. So I had mentioned earlier that all of my whips I'm choosing to work on this year are based on future projects that I really want to start. And so I'm trying to get a whip done to make room for that new start. So for this one, I'm calling it Queued Up Sal. It's kind of, I'm using it to drive which whips I work on this year. And so the project that I have queued up is Matter's Choice. This is by Carriage House Samplings. And this is a home in Maryland. There's a little bit of history on it here in the description. So I'm going to make this a tribute to the Water's Edge Museum in Maryland, which is a Black History museum. And I can't wait to start on this. I think it's really pretty. There's like unusual stuff in here. I don't usually stitch houses, but I think because I'm making it a museum tribute, I'll stitch, instead of this alphabet, I'll stitch the name of the museum here and maybe a year that it was founded, something like that. I like all this, like this kind of polka dot thing happening up here, and it happens throughout. And then a lot of bird motifs. There's like this bee right here. There's just some interesting things going on with it. So I'm excited to do that. That is what I have queued up. I haven't chosen like colors, fabric. I haven't done any of that yet because I want to get the whip finished first before I do that. Okay, this one you haven't seen in a while. This is a project by Jardin Privé, and it is Lady Halloween, and it looks so good. This fabric is, did I tell you fabric on the other one? Yes, I did. This fabric is 36 count linen. It's Pumpkin King is the name of it, by Atomic Ranch. And so it's perfect for Halloween, and look at how good all of these colors look on it. So these are the called for colors. It's DMC 310. GMC 317 and GMC 318 are these. They're gray. Technically their names are gray, but they're the grays that look kind of like they have a hint of purple in them. They're really pretty DMC colors. So that's called for, and that's what I'm using, and all three look fantastic on this fabric. So this is a really good, again, this is Pumpkin King by Atomic Ranch. It's really hard to find like a medium tone fabric where all the colors still look good on it. Like light, medium, and dark all still look really good on it. So that's that one. So I worked very little on this. I worked this motif right here, the V and the W in the alphabet, and then her sleeve and her hand right here. This pattern is very pretty. I don't have a print copy to show you, but like these floral motifs get repeated all through her skirt. So this whole part here is going to be her skirt, and that all gets repeated. And then there's some like a table of potions that comes in here. She's holding a spider web. So it's got some like an assortment of all different motifs on there that are really pretty. And it'll be in these same three colors. And I chose this one. You haven't seen it. I probably haven't worked on this since winter of 2021. It's been a long time. Because I have a project queued up that's Halloween-y. And that's what I want to work on next. So it's Pumpkins 3 by La Di Da. And it's small. One of the things I want to try to do, it's not going to work out on all my pieces that I have queued up, but I'm thinking I want to try to take some of my larger whips. So like Lady Halloween for me is pretty big. This is a large whip, but when I replace them, I want to try to find smaller whip. I think like I'm going to have more success with smaller projects. I know I will start and finish them. So I like the idea of having something queued up that's a little bit smaller, that's doable. That's like maybe I could finish in a year, you know, that won't carry over from year to year. So not all of my projects that I have queued up are small, but this one is, so I'm excited about that. This one I got at House of Stitches when I was there last year with Sarah, and then when I went this year with Miriam, I picked out a floss for it, and I had been eyeing, Miriam gave me some advice on this. She's stitching her pattern StitchIdées in this beautiful, sparkly, like glittery, sparkly thread, and it's this petite treasure braid silk lame. And so they had a black color because I thought about getting black for this, but then this green just really spoke to me, so I'm going to stitch it in green. So I got a few of these. The thing I forgot that Miriam suggested with this Petite Treasure braid is to use beeswax. She was conditioning it, and I forgot to grab. They had little tins of it at the store, and I forgot to get some, so I'll have to do that. Do you have, if any of you use beeswax or like any kind of conditioner for your thread, let me know what kind you use, because I haven't picked one up yet. So I'm in the market for one. Let me know especially if you've used one with this silk lame before. I'd like to know what you use for that. So that is Pumpkins 3. I'm on a bit of a la-di-da kick. I picked up a bunch of their patterns at House of Stitches last year, and then I picked up more this year, and they're going to show, I'm going to talk about them again shortly. Okay, next up, this is, you haven't seen this in a while either, and I have to figure out the orientation. This is it. So this, it doesn't look like anything right now. Oh, I forgot the picture upstairs. So I took one of my partner Steve's photos. For his business, he runs a cycling tourism business, and he takes a lot of pictures all over Chicago with his bike. And so he has this beautiful picture of his bike in front of this color block mural by Felipe Pantone. So I took it and put it into Pick-to-Pat, and I turned it into a cross stitch pattern. And so it's full coverage. It's enormous, and it's like 350 by 350. Let's say it's big. It's between 350 and 400 by the same length and width. And so I've just barely been chipping away at it. Like, this is the tire. No, these are all shadow. This is like the shadow of the tire, and the actual tire of his bike is going to be coming in here. So these are all just shadows. I chose this picture because actually I'm gonna run upstairs and see if I can get a copy of the picture. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the picture. So Steve took this picture. It's his bike, and see, I love it because it's got the way the sun was shining on it. It's got these beautiful shadows. So like it's his bike and the shadow of it, and then it has these like streaks of sun coming across too. So I really love it. It's a little washed out because of my printer. My printer didn't print it the best with the best quality. Like these stripes are printer problems. But like these angled stripes are the shadows of the sun on a building next to it. So I just really love that. So I'm stitching that, and let's see if I can hold it up with the picture. So like this part right here, this dark part, and then like see the tire coming in over here and these shadows, that's where I'm at. So it's slow going. I did all these blue parts this month, and I only stitched on it for a weekend. I'm using not even a weekend, an evening. And it's 25 count easy grid, and I'm doing 2 strands, 10th stitch. So you're only doing half the X on each one, so it's super fast. It does work up very fast. This whole bit here was just like 2 hours one evening. So it's really, really fast. So I need to go back to it. And why am I working on this? Because this month in particular, because I had entertained the idea of having another full coverage piece in the future, because ElectricCityStitches put out this beautiful, they do, if you watch my friend Sarah, who's ModCross on Instagram and on Etsy, she's doing this beautiful full coverage piece that has these kind of splotches of purples and blues. And so Electric City does a lot of that. It's like these abstract pieces, and they did one recently that's in teal and orange, and it's so pretty. I love teal. Ends up being one of my go-to colors. So I'd kind of entertained for a short while that would be something I'd do in the future, and then I was like, well, if you're doing a full coverage in the future, you got to do a full coverage now. That's your queued up sell. If you queue up a full coverage, you got to finish the one you have. So then, like, I had a big time reality check by working on this. Like, oh yeah, it's gonna take me forever to do. So I don't know in the future. I also have I don't have it here, but I also have a Merejka kit that's got like a beautiful like scenery on it too. So I have full coverage in my future, but I needed to work on this one first. So I think I need to set up maybe like I I don't know. I don't know if I was thinking like set up a plan for working on it regularly, but I don't always stick to plans. So I have to think about how I'm going to chip away at that. Maybe like this summer it could be a focus piece. I'm going to think on how to do that because it's really not that hard. Once you sit down and look at the part that takes the longest. So these are the colors, right? And these are the colors just for this page, for just page 1 that I'm working on. So the part that takes forever is figuring out, okay, I'm going to work on this symbol. What color is that? Then I have to go look at the chart. There's like 3 pages of colors in the chart, in the key. So then finding out that symbol, okay, it goes with that color. Then finding it in here. So it's like that bit of it is cumbersome. And it takes up so much time that I think that's the thing that makes me not eager to pick it up each time, if you know what I mean. The impending, like, oh, I just want to pick up and stitch. I don't want to spend like 15 minutes figuring out this part. So if anybody has any tips for that, let me know. I watched some really good full coverage stitching videos this month. I finally caught up with a couple of Vani, you know, Thread the Needle. She did a really great video, actually. I'm going to see if I can link it below. She did like a Q&A for one of her videos recently. That was really interesting. She gave a really good tip, basically like, sometimes I get hung up on, like in this DMC 310, if you look at it really closely, see how you can see little bits of fabric poking through, that could, you know, that gets to me a little bit. But I don't mind it because I don't want to start over again. And also, like, most of this, like, if you look at the picture, most of it is not black, right? Most of it is different colors, so that it's not going to matter once I get to the other colors. And that was something that Vani said, too, in her, Steve's walking around up there. In her video, she said, you know, no one is going to look at your full coverage pieces, like, from this distance. It's going to be hung up on a wall, and it'll be admired from far away, and then you won't see all of those little, the things you think of as imperfections won't be seen. I was like, you're right, Bonnie. So that's not a thing to get hung up on. So anyway, that pattern was created on Pick to Pat. Picture to Pattern. Pick to Pat. And it's a website. I think it's still going. I did this a couple years ago, but I think they're still live. My only issue, and I don't know if it was like me as a user error or if they just don't do it, their chart that you download, so you upload a picture and then you decide like what count and what size you want the pattern to be. So I chose a very large size pattern because I wanted all of the details. I wanted the pixelation to be very detailed. You could choose a smaller size pattern, but then it'll be much more pixelated. And the details might get washed out. So that's why mine is so big. I wanted to keep it large and see all of those details and have a lot of different variation in between to catch all the details. The pattern that you download is in color, which is really nice. But I like to have a black and white copy because I prefer to highlight. Even though I have Pattern Keeper, I don't go back to it because my setup, it just doesn't work with my setup, having a device, and then my device is kind of unresponsive. You really have to push down on it to have it recognize what you're highlighting. It has not been stitchy friendly for me. My device, not Pattern Keeper. I'm sure Pattern Keeper is great. So I go back to highlighting stitches, but I don't have a black and white pattern of this to highlight. And I don't know if I just missed that as a download option once I create, and it doesn't save, like Pick to Pat doesn't, as far as I know, it doesn't save your pattern that you create. Like you upload the photo, you create it, and then you download the pattern, and that's it. Like it's not archived or anything. I don't think it had a link to download a black and white version of it, or at least I didn't. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. So that's my next challenge, is like this whole bit that I added this month, all of this, I just added it and I haven't marked it anywhere. I haven't kept track of it. And I kind of feel like I'm going to run into a problem. I might make a mistake on it if I don't do better with my stitch tracking on that. So I have to play around. I wonder if I can take my digital pattern and like put it in a Word document or something where I can play with the colors a little bit and try to lighten them up and maybe print like a very, very lightened version of it. Or when I was stitching on Marigold, Sarah's pattern, ModCross, I had a working copy of the PDF file, and then I was using the highlighter feature in the PDF app to highlight, digitally highlight. So I'm gonna have to play around with that and see. These are all like these tiny little things. They're not a big deal in the end, but I think these are like the little things that make me a little apprehensive to keep coming back to this project. So I gotta work through that. Okay, next up, this is a fun one. You haven't seen this in a while either. So this is Matter in Hand by Jeannette Douglas. And I do have a picture of this one. Let me show you. So these are the called for colors. A lot of color changes. It's really pretty. Like sort of prim-y colors, like some pale greens and blues and things. And so I challenged myself to use a very limited palette on this. So the 4 colors that I'm using are this blue is a DMC Color Variations. It's Caribbean Bay. The white, it's like a variegated gray and white. You can kind of see the variegation here in the tomato pincushion. It's Cardamom by Color and Cotton. The brown is also variegated. That's Mahogany by Color and Cotton. And then DMC 310. I love the way the DMC 310 looks on this fabric. I don't know what this fabric is. It's, I've lost the label. Not sure what I'm stitching on. So I'm kind of limiting myself to these 4 colors, and I'm just playing around with what I can do with these 4 colors. And so it's been really fun. I love I always love DMC 310. I'm like, I keep saying I need to get a cone of it. I just need to get a cone of it already. The white variegation has been really fun to play with. I don't know if you can really see it. Like in the tomato you can see, I stitched along the curve, so then the variegation was also curved. So I kind of like the look of that. In this needlework piece here in the hoop, I did little patches of the white background, so I meant for it to look like model, you know, like the modeling in our fabrics. I wanted the fabric there to look modeled as well, but I don't know if it shows. On this spool down here, I did alternating rows of stripes. So I wanted it to look like thread, like variegated thread in a spool. So I don't know if that stuff is showing up, but it's just kind of fun to play with, and I can see it from close up. I can tell what it looks like. So this is good fun. If you stitch this pattern, you have to be a little bit careful on the border. In the center, let me see if I can find it. It's not the same motif repeated all the way down. There's a little part where there's a hiccup. I think here's the hiccup right here. So you just have to watch for that, and then it picks up again down at the bottom. And there it is, and I love it. This was really fun because when I posted it way back, I started this last year, I think, and this might be part of Beth Steadfast Stitcher. I think started this as a Sal, and I think that's where we started it. I have to double check that. I think it's Matter in Hand Sal. And where was it? What was I gonna say about it? Don't remember. I really love it. I'll come back to this. So I picked this up because I have 2 smalls that I have queued up next for queued up Sal related to this. This pattern is like a stitching themed pattern, right? It's got all of these objects that we use in our stitching. I think the little house, I'm gonna make it I'm gonna like write in the words LNS maybe above it, so it looks like a local needlework shop. I think that'd be cute. So I queued up 2 smalls that are also kind of stitching related. One is Sarah, my stitchy friend Sarah, who goes by ModCross. She, if you subscribe to her newsletter, she's really like jump-starting her design. She's been designing for a few years now, but she's doing a lot this year to promote her design work. So she started a newsletter. I will link her Flosstube below. She started a Flosstube. She started a newsletter. And if you subscribe to her newsletter, she sends you a freebie, and it's called Among Friends. And it says something, oh, what does it say, Sarah? Stitchers are always among friends, I think is what it is. It's just a really cute little small, like a monochromatic piece that has a little border on it. It's really cute. So that one is the one I have queued up. And then I also have this one, Stitcher, by Luminous Fiber Arts. And this is really tiny too. The stitch count on this is 53 by 120. So I think if I finish Matter in Hand, those will be the 2 that I want to start on. Okay, what's up next? I'll show you this one. This is a fun one. I love this one, actually, the more I stitch on it, and I haven't stitched on this in probably 2 years, because I think I started this for Stitch Asia in 2021. So a lot of folks are stitching on Stitch Asia for Asian American Heritage Month or Asian American History Month, whichever one it is now. And what I really need to do is finish Kain Kapal, who's hanging back here. That's my Indonesian ship cloth from Java Stitches. And it is not finished. I've just been hanging it up here just because it looks so cool. But like this whole, like the motifs inside the boat here, I still have to finish. So I should... I really want to finish this year. It's really not that much more to do. It's a little intimidating, not intimidating, but it's like that same apprehension comes up because it's got in these motifs, there are some 3/4 stitches and quarter stitches. So you know how that goes. They're not the most fun to do. So I've been delaying it a little bit, but it just looks so good. It doesn't, even from far away, it doesn't look so good. And Era, who's the designer of this, is making a new one. So she has a second one that I wanted. Really, this should be a cute upsell because there's another ship cloth piece that's all in reds that she already has in her Etsy shop. And now she's working on another one. She's been posting on Instagram that she's starting a new one. So these are great Stitch Asia pieces. If you're probably looking at this and thinking like, oh, it looks just like that Ink Circles pattern, Ship of Life. Yeah, because Ink Circles took that, the designer took that from, she also studied Indonesian weavings and designed her Ship of Life motifs based on that. Those are not reproductions. They're not Indonesian. They're Indonesian inspired with her layer of motifs put on them. So they're not authentic to Indonesian culture, but these are, Era is from Indonesia, from the region where these are stitched. So she's studied the weavings and she's grown up with those weavings. So she has like, cultural knowledge behind them too. So I think this is a great piece for Stitch Asia. I'll link Era's design, like Java Stitches. I'll link their information below and you can check it out. See, but I really want to finish that one and start the red one. If anyone wants to start the red one with me too. But anyway, I got on a Stitch Asia kick because I brought this piece out. I'm going to try to read it to you, even though it's backwards on my screen. So this is a quote by George Takei, who is, for my international friends, he's an actor, an American actor who kind of famously was on the first season of, or the first series of Star Trek here. And he's a very outspoken kind of activist for queer rights and also for Asian American rights. He, as a child, his family was forcibly removed, just like many Japanese American families on the West Coast, and put in internment camps during World War II. So he talks a lot about that because he has memories of that as a child. So you'll probably see him floating around, especially around this time of year during like Asian American History Month. He gets interviewed a lot to talk about it. So he has in his book Lions, Tigers, and Bears, he has this quote: "We should indeed keep calm in the face of difference, and live our lives in a state of inclusion, and wonder at the finishing part is diversity of humanity, and wonder at the diversity of humanity." I love it. I love this quote. So I just kind of was reading that, and I thought this is a great quote to stitch up. So this font is by KristyPatterns on Etsy, and you can get the one that I got from her. I've used a lot, actually. I have it right here. You know my Amanda Gorman, The Hill We Climb piece? Most of these, it's like a collage of different fonts. I took a quote from Amanda Gorman's poem, The Hill We Climb, and I stitched it. But I took KristyPatterns fonts and decided to stitch different words in different fonts and made it kind of a collage. And you can get a set of her fonts, cross-stitch patterns for her fonts. It's called like 10 small fonts. I think that's what it's called. It's KristyPatterns on Etsy, 10 small fonts. So this is one of the fonts that comes in that. And it's really nice, like very clear block stitching. The best part about it is that once you get the hang, like after doing probably this first line, everything else just came so easily. And when you stitch a lot of quotes, like I joined Catherine Neat and Knot with her Salon and a Forest Grew, and I'm stitching a Greta Thunberg quote in that one. It's the same thing with that one. When you start stitching alphabets, you notice that there are certain letters that are just used over and over again, then it gets to be so easy to stitch. Like your A's and E's and N's, like certain letters just get repeated all the time. So you don't even have to look back at the pattern to stitch those letters. And you kind of have a pattern on your piece. It starts to become a sampler, really. So you can model off of it. So I'm using DMC 803 to stitch the quote, and I ran out of DMC 803, which is why I stopped there. Otherwise, I would have kept going. I think I could have finished this week. And then I did not bring it. I'm gonna pause again and go get one more thing I want to show you. I'll be right back. Okay, so what I wanted to grab is my latest copy of StitchIdées magazine. This is a Japanese magazine, mostly for embroidery, but there's quite a bit of cross stitch in it too. And I don't have all the issues. This one I picked up because there's a Japanese designer who I really like named Kaede Cross Stitch. I'll link their info below too, but they have a pattern that came out this month and I really wanted to stitch it. Isn't that so pretty? And I have a pattern that this designer, they had stitched a pattern a couple years ago and I saw it on Instagram and I messaged them like, this is so beautiful. It was another kind of similar style, like a kind of folksy style like this. And she very kindly, it hadn't been out yet or anything, she emailed it to me. She messaged it to me on Instagram. She messaged me the chart, picture of the chart, and she said, yes, please stitch it. And so I'd been working on that, and I cannot find that image of that chart anymore. I thought I had saved it, like I have a Dropbox account where I keep all the digital patterns. I don't know where it is. I can't find it. I'm hoping it's on my old phone. I'll have to power it up and see if it's there. But anyway, she was just so nice to do that, and I've kind of been following her stitching for a while, and so I really I love like the blues and reds in this one. I think it's so pretty. And then like, isn't this kind of cute? This is not hers, but it's just the magazine has like some fun little pretty cross stitch patterns. And again, I don't get every single issue. I order them individually. The vendor I usually go with is, I think it's Pompadour24 on Etsy, but there's a Japanese vendor who has access to a lot of like cross stitch, embroidery, crafting magazines from Japan. So that's who I usually get these, when I need to get one, I get them from them. But anyway, so there's a pattern in here that I didn't know was going to be in here that actually is really pretty. It's this one here. It's just like a collage of these tiny motifs. And this is by a designer called Comfortable Daily Life on Instagram. Comfortable Daily Life. And so it's just got these cute things. And when I was flipping through the magazine, I just kind of made a mental note, like, oh, those are really, really pretty. They'd be like good embellishments for like a space filler, like you could fill in if you have any gaps in a project. And then sure enough, had gaps in this project. There's all those spaces that are left open in between the quotes. So I'm just going to fill them in with these different kind of circular motifs. Like I'm loving this one. It's kind of floral. Some of them look sort of flowery. So that's what I'm doing. So when it's finished, it'll have like these little clusters of these little circles in these spaces in between. And then I need to finish out the quote too. And I don't know if I find some kind of, I'm going to flip through my other StitchIdées issues. And if there's any kind of cute, like a bordery sort of thing, I'm thinking of doing that like either here at the top or maybe, I don't know, maybe down the sides, but like I'll leave it lined up with the text. So it won't be above the text, but it'll like finish out the rest of this line, something like that. Just I'm thinking just like a little thin something with like a little bit of something cutesy on it maybe. And then same here, I would just have like I would have it lined up with the W here and bring it down. I'm gonna have to research that and see. I'll do a little flip through, see if I find something. But so these circles are done in DMC 823, which is just a dark blue. It's not as dark as DMC 939, which sometimes I love DMC 939, but it looks like it almost looks like DMC 310. It's super, super dark. This is a little bit less dark than that. You can tell that it's blue and not black. So I'm loving this. This is my Stitch Asia piece for this month, and I do have something queued up with this as well. I'm using the sci-fi kind of idea and queuing up a piece that I've had in my head for a while, but it really kind of started forming a little bit more when I was shopping at House of Stitches last year and I was going through the La-Di-Da patterns bucket. La-Di-Da has like amazing alphabets, so many different kind of alphabet motifs. And so I saw this one, Scottish, it's fetish number 4, Scottish sample. And I saw this, I was like, ooh, this looks really kind of like ancient. And I think it's going to be perfect for, I want to make a tribute to Battlestar Galactica, all you sci-fi nerds out there. Battlestar Galactica was a sci-fi show, and they did a reboot of it in the 2000s that was just amazing, like an incredible show. And so I've had this idea of stitching the words Battlestar Galactica and then having quotes from the show, just memorable lines from the show. So I've been searching for fonts to do that, and something about this just kind of spoke to me. The wideness of the letters. It's not an identical match to the actual font used on the show, but something about it just spoke to me. So I think I'm going to use that, and then for the tiny quotes from the show, I'm going to use these little letters. This is Little Virginie, 1837. And so it's also got some kind of unusual, sort of ancient-looking letters to it. I think that's what it is about these two. They look sort of like otherworldly or ancient, or there's something, they're just so different. I think they'd be great for something like that. So that's what I'm going to do. I kitted up. These are the colors I'm going to use on it. Black Crow, which to me looks blue. It looks very blue. Deep Forest is this beautiful variegated. And then, what's that one? The green is so pretty too. Let me look real quick. The green is Forest Glade. And then there's a red back there too. So these are the colors I'm going to use for it. I think I'm going to stitch the title of the show in blue, and then do most of the letters in this deep forest, the quotes, but then have certain quotes highlighted in the brighter colors, in the reds and the greens. So that's the idea. So I think this works perfectly then for a for queued up style, because I'll be finishing another pattern with words on it and uses text, and then it also has sci-fi connection. So that's kind of what I'm going with on that. I'm super excited to start it. I don't have fabric picked out yet, but everything else is ready to go. So that will be an exciting start. And then I have one more whip to show you, and then we're almost wrapped up for today. Okay, so this one is Birds from Bernard's Books by Modern Folk Embroidery. And what can I say about it? It's on truffle. Picture this plus truffle. It's 40 count. And I'm using DMC 221. And I love it. I think it's beautiful. I love this color. And be proud of me, because I did page finishes on this, which I never am that organized to do page finishes on a project. But this right here was page 1. And then this is page 2. So this band here is completely done. And doesn't it look awesome? I love the way it looks. That border is so pretty. It actually stitches up really fast. I have a black and white pattern that I use, and I'm highlighting as I go along. It's really, really fast. It looks intimidating, but it stitches up super fast. I bet you, if you're a monogamous stitcher, I bet there are monogamous stitchers who could finish this in a month. I'm amazed that I got through. If all I had stitched on this month was this, imagine how many more pages I could have got done. And this I just did, probably took me like a couple of weeks. Maybe a little less than a couple of weeks, including like a weekend stitch and some long weeknight stitches. So I'm loving that. I'm going to keep that going. I don't have the pattern to show you, but my queued up style for this is, hang on, let me see if I do have it to show you. No, I don't know what I've done with it, as usual. It's Mermaid's Folly by Courtney collection. And if my editor lets me, I will put a picture in, but I've been having trouble with my editing recently. Yeah, and I don't know where I put it. But anyway, it's also a negative stitching piece. So this one, see how in the border you're stitching around the motifs? So that one is kind of similar. You're stitching around the motifs in that one too. So I'm thinking colors and fabric on that. I have a fabric and stash I can definitely use. I don't know yet about colors on that one. And anyway, it's too far away to think about that because I still have quite a bit to go on this one. So I'm going to keep going on that. And well, this year, surely I'll be able to finish it this year, I think. So that's what I have queued up for that one. And that's basically it. I mean, I don't have new starts this month, and I'm not planning any for next month. I'm going to really keep chipping away at these whips. It feels good to get whips done. I'm going to see if I can dig through my whips and find one more kind of small win to work on for next month. And what's left? We're almost done with March, but we're not quite done yet. I have to finish my Stitch for Pride research and donating and stitching on my Trans Pride unicorn. So that's going to be today and tomorrow what I work on. And then tomorrow is Trans Day of Visibility. So there have been like the books and materials I've been reading for Stitch for Pride. I'm going to see if I can find those writers and creators on Instagram and see if I can, you know, tomorrow's a day for amplifying voices. So if you have trans, you know, stitchers or creators or anybody, writers who you feel like you can repost and share, you know, share their voice to the larger community, tomorrow's the day to do that. And then what else? That's it. That's all I got today. Thanks for being here as usual. Thanks for tuning in. And I hope you're doing well. And I love hearing from you. I'm super behind on getting back to comments. I appreciate when you leave comments for me. I'll while I'm editing, I'll get back to you on those. And that's all we've got going on. So have a good rest of the month and happy April stitching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.